me. That's you.
Sounds good.
That's this. Get rid of that. Get rid of that up. Oh no. Okay, we're good. Hello, SHL, Rich and Luke. Episode 121. No Luke this week, so it's sort of not Rich and Luke, but we're doing it that way anyway. But in place of Luke, I have the new-ish, I guess. I mean, new is in one season old. Um, Los Angeles co-GM Rashford. Did I lose you? Uh oh. Anyway. Oh wait, there you are. There you are. I didn't have you there.
Did you mute me?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, hey, how's it going?
Yeah. Welcome, welcome. Did am I? So am I just like putting the SSL podcast in my head and like combining it with? You haven't been on Rich and Luke yet, right? No, this would be the first time.
And this is the first one.
Okay. I guess I
Yeah,
had somehow like combined the SSL one we did with SHL and just in my head was like, oh, you've been here before, but not really.
yes. I've been here in a different outfit. Let's put it that way.
Perfect. Well, so I when I said new, it feels quite new to me, but I guess I was trying to think about this before we started. And did you were you co-GM? At what point did you accept like the co-GM? Like, what point did you step in there?
We officially announced it halfway through the season, if I remember correctly.
Okay,
Um,
I thought it was something like I didn't think it was early, but I could not remember like when it actually happened.
yeah, no, we announced it like Whitecap and I had talked about it kind of ever since um, he had wanted to bring myself and Leg over um, to Los Angeles, and I was just very upfront with him, and I said I stepped down for a reason. You know, I just needed a mental break. Loved my time in Winnipeg, but but just kind of needed a break. And so I just was honest with him. I said I really need to think about it. I said I I will gladly help you out. I'll give you my 100%, but let's give me some time to decide if I want to make it official or not. And so I think about 2 weeks into the season, I was just like, let's just do it. Like, I've enjoyed my time here. Let's just go out with a bang. Let's do it together. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I know you've been a big help from what I can see. Like the budget stuff is fantastic, and then just like your kind of general activity level is great to have. And I mean, I'm in the war room sort of. My role is like I don't hasn't been really all that you you know active lately. Um, so it's nice to have somebody in there that is very active. I mean, Frenchie's also very active in there, but yeah, we needed
It's felt
a
really
little bump.
natural.
No, yeah, I agree for sure.
No, it's funny the the budget stuff. I think I got thrown into the fire a little bit with Winnipeg and some of the changes that happened during that time, and so it's it felt super natural to just say, hey, Whitecap, I can take this off your plate because I feel really comfortable around this, and um, you know he's happy with that until I make mistakes. That'll be funny if that ever happens. But
Did you guys have something like that to go down in Winnipeg?
I I should dig up this DM. I remember sitting at work one day, and all of a sudden I was like, I didn't check this, and I this is probably the season before we won the cup in Winnipeg, or maybe the season after. But I just was like, I think I missed something, and I went on to the budget sheet, and I'm like, we're 2.5 million or 3 million over budget, and I could not, for the life of me, figure out what had gone wrong. I was like, my budget that I have works, but ours just doesn't work. Like, I have no idea. I cannot find this error. And we were, thinking about talking in the war room, like, what do we do? Like, how do we fix this? And I was like, something's wrong here. So I dug into it, and I found an error on Luke's budget sheet, and all else was good. But it was like this 3 hours of just pure panic. And I think there was one off season where we had to move a player because we were 500K short, and that was because of a kind of an unclear rule about minor like J players and their whether or not their contracts get bumped or not. And so that was about the only thing that we really missed once in the in Winnipeg. But yeah, there was that one day where I'm like, I have no idea how badly I messed this up. Like, how am I 3 million over cap on a team that we have been like very meticulous about? So
it's it was, I don't want to say always, but it felt like somewhat regularly we'd have, that was kind of like a point of anxiety for us too in LA, was of like, always worrying if something got missed or something got forgotten, or thinking something got forgotten. Yeah, it's tough when you're trying to like walk that line, and then like the potential for like stepping over it is kind of, it's can be pretty bad. Just in terms of like what it takes to get yourself back, like back under the cap or back compliant. So yeah, it's a thing for
it
sure.
comes down to like, no one really wants to trade away. Like, you don't want to trade away people that you've been around and enjoyed being around. Like, there's so few people that I've interacted with that I'm like, yeah, we need to trade this player away because they just don't fit. Like, most people who are in your locker rooms, especially if you're the one who drafted them or were part of that and help build it up, like, they want to be there. And so I don't want to trade them away. Like, I like what they bring to the culture. And so it's always tough when you have to navigate cap stuff like that. Some of these teams that are rebuilding are going to have a real tough conversations that they're going to have with players when they start hitting that. They've had 7 players jump contracts, and they've had in the same off season. Like, those are never easy off seasons. They're they're defining off seasons for sure, but they're never fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, like I said, it's like this, like a. I feel like we had plenty of the moments of like thinking we messed something up or thinking we were in trouble when we weren't actually. It was just like trying to make budget sheets all line up correctly and all the math work out, and then you go, oh no, are we over? And then kind of go back and double check everything and say, oh no, we're fine, we're just, or forgetting to include.
The sheet's great though.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. So it's great to have somebody experienced in that kind of stuff helping out. Great stuff. I don't know that like we would have had a problem otherwise, but it's definitely helpful to have somebody with an eye on that stuff. And that it's you seem to be like on top of it early, which is again really something I appreciate a lot.
Being surprised.
yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
So, no, I guess I don't really have a whole lot else I want to talk to you about immediately. So, do you want to jump into some questions and we can see where that takes us? I am kind of interested in getting into draft a little more this week. Saying that once we get to it, maybe I'll change my mind. But in this moment, I'm thinking I watched a fair bit of it, fair bit of the stream. I was trying to ignore the goings on in LA. Even though we didn't have any picks, I was still like, I wanna watch the stream and I want to appreciate the stream.
Yeah, we didn't have picks, but we made picks. So
yeah. I thought that's I feel like we've always kind of tried to do something, even if we don't have picks or have late picks. Try and find a something somewhere. All right, so first off, we do have Valor, but Valor wants, I think, draft stuff, which I wanted to save to the end, I think. We can close her out with draft. So maybe we'll come back to that. Yeah, season predictions. Do we want to do that, or do we want to hold on to that as well?
I will follow your lead. You guide me, and I will jump in.
I think we'll hold on season predictions as well. I'm not. First of all, I'm not really prepared. Um, but I think I'd like to sit on that for a minute. I'm more interested in the draft for the draft questions for Valor stuff than I am
Yep.
season predictions. Season predictions generally something we'd probably get into. Well, we're not going to be doing a podcast next week, so probably a week after or something. But anyway, let's jump to Slicer. We'll get back to you, Valor. I
Should we
promise.
start with the slice?
Yeah, yeah. So Slicer says, "Congrats to Lap. Do you think you can repeat, and why or why not?" I should have asked about.
Do you want to start or me?
Well, something that I probably should have talked to you before we. I'm going to shoot you a little message really quick, but I do happen to think we have the potential to repeat, but it's tricky. It's real tricky. We were like on the brink of not winning this season. Two real tough series with SFP and Texas, and that could just as easily happen again next season. They
Yeah, I go ahead.
oh yeah, it's I don't know. I don't feel like I have a super strong reason why we can or can't. I feel like our position doesn't change a lot. So I think we can, but I don't think that I could say we're going to. I feel like it's incredibly difficult to predict that we would repeat. Yeah. I 100% should have asked you about that before we started. Um,
I'll dig into that right now. One
yeah,
second.
because yeah. So I mean, the why is like again our position. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is LA isn't really changing a whole lot. We're still going to be pretty good. Maybe we're going to be fairly significantly affected by regression. Um, Probably more than a few teams. We have some. We're not like particularly old, but we have a fair few players in regression. Um, I got, I got you. Oh yeah,
Sorry,
good,
yeah.
good.
Just something on the back end. Yeah, sorry, Ace, my bad. I I agree with you. I don't want to say we were lucky this year. I think every team that wins has an ounce of luck. That's 100%. It's just the reality of the sim. It's the
Hmm.
reality of sports in general. Like, you have to have some sort of luck to make it to the end. Like, I mean, just ask Winnipeg in the 4 years in a row that they made the finals. You know, you could be the best team on paper, and it is so hard to win the fourth time in the finals. So I look at who we would have to beat to come out of the West. Um, I think Calgary's going to take a step forward.
Hmm.
Um, NOLA probably takes a step back just based on the offseason a little bit. Um, so I think Calgary's probably that fourth seed on the West. So that still leaves us with, SFP, LAP, and Calgary all in the same division. So two of those teams have a really tough first round matchup. Um, any of those teams that win that first round has a really tough second round matchup. You're probably meeting Texas in the third round. Like this is, I mean, yeah, the East probably has more all around talent, but I think the West has maybe the hardest path. At least if you're in our division to the finals, because every single round is going to be tough. Um, and so I think, yeah, there's definitely a chance we can repeat. I think we have put in a lot of effort this off season to really adjust the roster as needed due to a roster spot opening that we hadn't originally planned on with Winter retiring. And I mean, hats off to them. Great career, way to finish their career on top. But yeah, so I think in one aspect, we're probably going to take a step forward in some levels of chemistry. Another step, we'll take a step back in chemistry on certain other lines. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to come down to, can we win game sevens? Because there's going to be multiple. It just, I'm surprised the finals didn't go to a seven as well. So, um, yeah, I feel just as confident in this season as I did last season. So, definitely have a chance.
Yep, that's pretty much where I'm at. Yes, but I don't know. It's possible, but who knows? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know where Texas is at in
I don't
terms of
think we'll be
like
the best team on paper.
what's that? Say it again.
I don't think we'll be the best team on paper. I think there'll be probably one or two teams with more TPE. Um, but I do think we'll be in that conversation of like, we should be there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like this season we were, I think, first in the league in TPE, not by like a ton, but up there. Um, we probably are what, top five this next season, I would guess. We're gonna take a hit. We got a bunch of people in regression, but not a whole bunch that are necessarily all that deep. So yeah, we're gonna drop a little bit, but we'll see. See how it goes. It'll be a fun season. All right. What about let's see, Jess's questions? We've got all right. What do we have to do to get you to recreate Rashford?
Oh man, this is a deep conversation. I'll preface it by saying this. I have been blown away at how much I love the SSL, and been absolutely so fortunate. Um, ever since chatting with Ham, um, you know, after he drafted me to Newfoundland, and just really developing a good relationship with him, meeting him in person. We've gone out to at least one night's game together, maybe two. Um, yeah, so just like from that trajectory to um, my conversations with Ace, and really just being able to develop a just a deep level of respect for each other, and just a great friendship, one that we were able to win together. Just like those aren't things that I was expecting when I signed up. Um, I actually dug up because of another question in the thread, I dug up how I answered my S61 interested prospects thread, and was just kind of looking back at some of the things that I said, and I truly didn't know what to expect. I found it via Reddit, talked with TDZ, rest in peace, man. Talked with him extensively before actually signing up. And it just felt so normal. I had loved fantasy sports prior to this, and this felt like what fantasy sports was missing. So I preface this all by saying, like, I have deeply loved my time in the SHL. It's been great. I've been very fortunate, just very, very fortunate with who I've been around. All the people in Winnipeg, being able to have, a pretty fantastic career in an era where wingers aren't really the spotlight, playing with arguably maybe one of the best centers in this era, with having Leg on my line, and just what she brings to any like organization. Um, yeah, it's been great, but I am also someone who has had their life change a lot since I first joined. I now run a business that's very hands-on. I can't just, I used to work from home. I used to work for a bank. I could have my laptop up beside me and do stuff and interact while I was working, and it was very easy. Now it's, two young boys at home that are um, absolutely full on. They're, some of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life. And so I'm just, I just am confronted with a reality that's very different than when I first joined. And so whether I finish with this player or maybe recreate someday or recreate right away, I really don't know. I just don't want people thinking like, oh, if I hit the retire button, then I'm in the next draft class. And, uh, and so I just, I need to give it some time and figure out exactly what I want to do because I'm 3 years into this player. Like this is, you know, this such the career arc is just so long, right? So yeah, there's not really anything anyone can do. It's really just more a matter of like making sure it fits and works.
Hmm. Uh, quick question, I guess. Um, I don't really know you that well. We've only spoken a few times, mostly about the SSL stuff. Um, but
Yeah.
you strike me as somebody that takes on a lot. I feel like that's obvious, actually. So would it be is it in the cards for you to only be a player? Would that be enough to allow you to feel more comfortable recreating?
A thought that I've had. Um, the thing I find that I struggle with is like I I love it. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
I
yeah.
just I love diving into everything. Like, you know, if I'm if I'm drafted to your team, I'm going to give you my best. That's just kind of how I want to operate. And so it's like, you know, would I would I get the same enjoyment out of just being a player as I would being deeply involved? Um, and yeah, Ace made a Ace made a great point. Like if I see an area that I can improve something, um, I'm going to do my best to do that. And so that's where I like if I don't give myself that boundary of um, needing needing to step away. Like I did not come to Los Angeles with the intent of stepping into a co-GM role for Whitecap. Um, I I think Whitecap's an amazing user, and when he asked me, it was I want to give it serious thought because I deeply value him as a person, and I've got enjoyed getting to know him. But that was not my intention. I had thought about the possibility, but it was not. I just wanted to come help a team um, in the last few years or last few seasons of my players, um, good years, so to say. So, yeah, I think part of me would really struggle just being a player, um, and the other part of me was like, this is what I should be doing. I shouldn't be deeply involved. So I don't know. That doesn't really answer it for you, but that's kind of where I'm at. So
No, that's I mean, kind of what from somebody like you and having known other people like you kind of around the league as well. It's kind of like I feel like that's for that type of person. It's a fairly typical kind of way of looking at it. Um, yeah,
mhm.
it's tough to kind of unhook that part when it's seems to be such a part of just who you are. You know. So anyway, I again just having known you a very brief period, I would be pretty bummed if you didn't recreate, but also fully understand that it can be a lot. And yeah, yeah, like you said, it's
Yeah, I'm
been
not dead set on either.
yeah. No, no. Yeah, and it'd be also another additional challenge of like who knows what additional life changes are going to happen in the following 3 years. So it's
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, my oldest just started school, so it's just a very different. Yeah, when when I first started, I had a less than or Was he a 1-year-old at the time? Yeah, I think he's a 1-year-old at the time. So like, what was required then versus now is just very different, right? So
Yep. So, just wanted to know, what would you have said had Jess scouted you? Oh wait, no. If
I really
did I
should
read
just
that
dig up
wrong?
the
Oh.
screenshot of the slightly. I should dig up the screenshot and just send it to you. I wonder what it even says. I haven't looked back at this in ages. Give me 2 seconds.
And this was like your first sim league experience, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
Oh
that.
goodness, how far back does this go? Let's see. Let's see. See what it says.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just scanning this right now. Oh, you know what's really funny? So they always just say that I started off with basically saying, "Oh, I'm not going to go that late." It appears I did not say that in the first bunch of messages, but either way, I think no, I think Jess did actually scout, but um, no, it's just funny. It's going back to some of those old conversations when you first join the league, and you have all these different GMs messaging you. Like I remember Seven messaging me and thinking I was going to Carolina, and then who was the GM of Colorado at the time, and thinking, oh, maybe I go to Colorado, um, and yeah, just did not expect to go fifth overall. But yeah, it was just really funny to think. I don't think there's anything anyone could have said differently. I enjoyed all the conversations I had, but it's just been funny to have that inside joke. Um, and unfortunately, there is receipts, so I'm definitely in the wrong when I say that I wasn't scouted. So
That's okay. It's okay.
I was actually heavily scouted. Now that I'm looking back at it,
Well, but you didn't. Where did you end up going then?
Newfoundland at 5.
Oh, so all right.
I was expecting to go 9 or 10. I think Colorado and Carolina, I think, had 9 and 10 that draft, and that's where I think I was expecting to go.
Hmm. J drafts are interesting, very strange, strange thing. Um,
Well, I wrote. I think what happened is, I think once I released I got paid like 20 million for my first article that I
Jesus.
wrote, and it was kind of like a little like 300-word deep dive into every single prospect. And our draft class was 115 players or something like that at the J during the J draft.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was huge, and yeah, I just I just remember, um, I'm 60 players into this, and I'm seeing all these creations come in. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to finish this article, and it turned into 12,000 words or something like that. So I think that probably helped tip the scales at the start.
Yeah, something like that will usually. Let's see. More draft, more draft. We're gonna circle back around to the draft here. Actually, probably not too long, too much longer here. Zerg wants you to pronounce his player name.
I call him Zergalicious in my head. That's I I literally can't read his name and not think of that. Um, I think you say the first part of his name is Zegors. I think you I don't think the G and the R get pronounced. I think it's Zegors. And then I yeah, I think Fergalicious is just an easier name to say. But Briz, I would say Briz. I don't know. Kiwix is the end of it, I think, but Briziz's Kiwix or something like that. I don't know. I think that's the best I'm gonna get. But I think
Yeah,
I have the first name right. I think it's Zagors.
I go with Greg B. I think Greg B is the way to go. Um,
Nice. Back up, Greg.
yeah, I made an attempt at it once, and I don't remember how it went, but not great.
Actually, it's been fun getting to know Zerg. He's seems like an awesome character. Um, I'm thankful he didn't create with a crazy name in the SSL because there's just no way I would have
That's right.
ever learned it. But um, yeah, great great goalie on the team. Honestly, has the right personality for it too.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Um, oh, goalie. Yeesh. I cannot believe I thought that was a good idea to create as a goalie. But all right, Whitecap. Why is LA the best team? I mean,
It's recent cup.
yeah. He also wants to know who do we got for awards this season?
Ooh,
Are there any
I'm just gonna take a quick peek.
so things like when
Go ahead.
Luke and I do this, we generally like most improved. We generally skip because that's impossible to kind of like not impossible, but it's pretty tricky unless there's a real obvious one. Although there is a probably a fairly obvious one in Max Carnage this season. Um, but knowing who was not great last season and who did great this season can be really difficult. Two-way is we fumble with, but
Here's a question for you.
yeah.
Um, okay, so you said there's a clear one in Max Carnage.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna flip that for a second from a winger perspective. And Svensson is the only winger above 107 points. There's um, five centers above 107 points. Um, Svensson was on pace to break my single season assist record until basically the last two sims. Just kind of had a couple rough sims and stopped at 77. So my record at 82 is still intact. But like, is Max Carnage getting 62 goals because of Johnny Wagner Svensson, or is Johnny Wagner Svensson getting 77 assists because of Max Carnage's 62 goals? And so it's just interesting because I think both are MVP caliber seasons, but in FHM 8, which one's tougher? And I think that's going to be the tough thing for the awards team is like, how do you look at that and decipher between those two? Or do you look at, Jared Lakemore, who, puts up 124 on Buffalo, or, you know, Purpose finishing at 122 on a season where, um, in the first sim week was kind of nowhere near, if I remember correctly. Um, there's some like really good seasons up at the top. I think Zerg had a chance at MVP, but kind of faltered a little bit down the stretch as the team let in a few more goals. Still won those games, but you know what I mean? Like, I think that whole like Carnage has it in the bag, I think is a really tough debate when you look at it.
No, I don't know about MVP is trickier, but I think with most improved, I feel like Carnage is probably the best bet. MVP
Oh,
gets
yeah, sorry. Almost improved. Yeah.
yeah, MVP gets fuzzy, and I was thinking about this mostly because my player Purpick having a pretty good season, but I think his case is pretty weak by the fact that LA or not LA, like you actually just said, Zerg had basically an MVP caliber first half of the season, and I feel like any argument any argument for Purpick gets pretty heavily undercut by that fact, in my opinion. I don't know that anybody making awards
Well,
decisions would feel that way or would that would matter. I don't know, but
yeah, I think the fact that you only have three spots for a finalist is also tough.
yes, for sure.
Because if you're the third center in points, it's hard to stand out compared to the first winger or the first
Mhm.
defenseman. Like, you know, um, Maximova from LAP put up 67 points, which is 15 more than the second defender on that team. Or Eel from Atlanta, like those are fantastic defender seasons. How do you quantify that? Like, do you need to break 70 to be an MVP as a defender? Or is being one of two defenders to break 60, MVP caliber, right? I think it's tough. It's just a tough landscape right now for awards.
Yeah, yeah. I think with the goal totals, I don't know that this is necessarily like me making the case, but I think with Carnage's goal total, it's tough to see. I think he'd probably win it. Probably win like the MVP. I think the con is less difficult. Actually, it's you got the most points. Typically, that's what you see. Where you see that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Goalie award. I feel like it's probably a two-man race with Zerg and NGS 2019. Is that, I believe that's the username, right?
Civ,
Civ. Yeah.
5-0 Civ, yeah,
Yep.
2019.
Yep. Probably a two-man race between those two. Last I
Hey,
looked, I
like
haven't looked in a minute, but
Carpy's 18 GSAA is fantastic for a team that
oh yeah,
is
yeah.
deep in a rebuild. So I would say those three are probably your finalist. I mean, obviously we have this perspective of we just watched Zerg steal some games in the playoffs, and if you include playoffs, Zerg is probably the best goalie of the season, but you can't. Um,
Oh,
so I could see.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
But
never mind. Sorry, I misread something. You're good.
I think going into like the defender stuff, I think Maximova probably. I'd have to look. I'd have to look deeply into the actual like, how many points were scored on the power play versus not on the power play and that kind of stuff. Um, but just kind of looking at, I think Maximova probably gets. Is it Stevens? Is the all-around defender?
Yeah, Stevens all around, Bojo defensive.
Yeah, I think EL slightly loses out just based on like a higher percentage of power play goals, but I haven't looked at power play assists to compare that. Um, but like 52 assists is compared to the next closest at 46. That's a pretty big difference for defenders. Um, yeah, I think it's a two-way race for Stevens with Maximov and Neil.
Pretty good shouts. Maybe throw in Edward in there for the goal
And,
total. That's pretty solid goal total as well.
mm-hmm.
I believe the point total isn't necessarily there, but the 23 goals is quite a few. Um,
I
anything
think
else?
Hodor's name is always going to be on the defensive
Yeah,
ballot
yeah.
until he retires.
Um, any other? Let's see, what do we got? Generally don't. Um, GM and coach. I don't know. Those
I don't
are.
know rookies well enough.
Oh yeah, rookies is one we generally don't mess with because there's no. I don't think there's a great way of looking at rookies outside of at least not in the portal. I think maybe there's a sheet somewhere where you can find it
Yeah,
somewhere. I don't know.
outside of the file. The
Yeah.
file would be the easiest.
But like coach and GM. Um, I don't know.
I think it's hard to argue against. Um, like I think Calgary has to be in the conversation for GM. They took a good step forward. Um, I think Tampa Bay has to be in that conversation.
You go
Again,
Tampa
another team
GM
that
or
took a good
coach or
step
both?
forward. I think you got to put them in both because I think what they did with their two start or their first line or whatever you want to call it, I think there's a reason you could put them both in there. Um, I think if you're looking including playoffs, I think LAP would be in the coach one. I don't know if we'll be in the one for Just looking at regular season, it's hard to know. Like I don't know what the criteria they look at. I think there's a good reason you could put us in the GM of the year just based on, you know, taking a step up from the previous season. I think LA was fifth or something like that previous year. So I don't know. I think if if I had to put three teams out there, I'd put Calgary, Tampa, LAP for GM. I think coaching, it's probably Tampa Bay. Um,
Coaching feels harder this season to me than it has in previous seasons.
yeah,
I don't know who had.
like obviously I know what happened in LA, so I would always I would
Right.
always vote like selfishly for that, to see like like the coaching, like knowing what kind of coaching stuff went on this year in LA, I would fully say that we should be in there, but I don't know what that perspective is publicly. So
Right.
um,
That's what's tricky with these two particular awards is knowing what. Yeah, we don't
yeah,
really know what criteria the awards committee looks at, and then I don't know. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes you can be like, oh yeah, this makes a ton of sense. Like with Tampa and either GM or coach, potentially both. There's a pretty obvious case there, but I don't know. When you're just taking like LA as top TPE in the league and finishing first, it feels kind of cheap to just be like, yeah. But at the same time, that doesn't mean there isn't a case.
ooh, just got a DM about some insight.
Hmm? Oh, about
Um, Calgary didn't have a player over 1600 TPE. That's just impressive to get to finish fourth in your conference without that much TPE. They're doing a good thing there for sure.
yeah. So I guess going back to uh, potential for LA repeat, it's I don't honestly think what we were talking about really changes a whole lot in the way I feel about it. Um, but getting a big free agent, actually, I mean two, but one is I think more notable than the other. Um, yeah, signing a big free agent will help
Hmm.
a fair bit. Um,
Yes.
filling a well, actually, kind of a hole that we created, but created because of Red retiring um, and needing to. Well, no, I'm
It's
wording
interesting.
this
Let's
weirdly.
take a look at the last. Let's take a look at the last two off seasons though. LAP loses a player to free agency,
Mm-hmm.
which actually opens up the ability for LA to sign or to sign and trade for um, myself and Leg. So there's bringing in two players that would have only been able to bring in one if that didn't happen. And then this off season, because of a player retiring and another going inactive, having the ability to sign two free agents at the exact right um, amount of finances to make it happen. And so, like, it's just kind of crazy how, I think in both situations you can look at be like, wow, the one off season that was really rough. You lose a lot of chemistry. You lose, your top TPE defender. All this happened really before I had come over, but those facilitated or those changes facilitated something that wouldn't been able to happen without it. And so it's just interesting how you know those decisions can be tough and good and bad, and you know you just kind of roll with it, right? And I think looking back, it's been great. It's really worked out, but could have easily went the other way.
Yeah, it feels like what seemed unfortunate at the time last season with Ratu going to Baltimore. It really kind of worked out really well. Um, we got a pretty substantial bump in coaching, bringing you and Jess in, and that was. And it's not like we were weak in coaching, but we could. That was our probably the thing we lagged behind SFP in most. Um, is where I was just like a half step behind them in coaching. It felt like they were just a little bit better. So getting a nice little bump from coaching and also getting two pretty nice little depth pieces, very helpful. Well,
Yeah,
listen, Ace,
I think, yeah.
that's how it goes, I guess, right?
Oh, what did Ace say? Sorry.
That coaching
Ace,
made him go 1-3 in the
Ace,
finals.
we actually we went 1-4 in the final, not 1-3.
Anyway, you want to talk about some draft stuff since we're running out of time, and I did want to get to that. I don't want to leave Valor hanging too much. Um,
I'm good with that.
yeah.
Hey, one second. Pause for
Yeah.
a second.
Sure.
Did you say who we signed yet?
I didn't actually say specifically. Um,
Okay. I was just given the go ahead that we can if we want to. So.
I mean, do we want to say? I mean, I for some reason I feel weird
I don't
about
know.
it.
We'll wait for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll wait for tomorrow. I think.
Yeah. It's yeah. A lot of people that anybody who's probably in any kind of management position or war room probably has an idea of what's going on. We'll find we'll get that official tomorrow. Valor wants to know thoughts on the draft, I guess broadly, and then there's some more specific questions to come. My first
Before
immediate
we
thought.
dive into the actual specifics.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say it was entertaining. We didn't have a pick till 60. It was really entertaining to just watch this draft unfold over the last 2 weeks, and just to see the movement of assets, the trade block updates of picks that were available or weren't available. Like, it was a really entertaining draft, and then to watch it unfold, knowing that like I have no skin in the game, so it doesn't matter. Like, it was just really fun to be. It was just really fun to. Sorry, I'm just laughing at chat. Just really fun to be an outside perspective, especially in the first 2 rounds. Like, I think there was a ton of talent in this draft, and those teams are going to be very happy with who they got.
Yeah. It was the top of the draft felt really really good. Like there's, I feel like it's difficult to make a poor pick early on in this draft. I gotta say though, Schwartz dropping to 10. My God.
Oh goodness! Can we just answer the question of who I think the winner of the draft was?
I mean, yeah. Go. Be my guest.
I'm a homer for this, but I think it's true. I think Winnipeg absolutely nailed the draft.
Yeah, I mean Schwartz
Like, I
at 10 is
truly
just
do.
gross.
I don't
So good.
like. I gotta. Is the actual draft on the site right now? Like, with all the picks in it?
Yeah, the
Yes,
thread
it
looks
is.
like
It
it's
is.
been. Yep.
Okay, so Spurb at 7, which I think is probably a top 3 pick in any other draft. I don't know the user at 9 overall, but I'm pretty sure he just became the co-GM of Winnipeg.
Yep. Yeah, I believe so. Announced on the
Schwarz
draft.
at 10. Yeah, Schwarz at 10 is an amazing pick. The pick at 17 to then, I don't think I'm leaking anything, to then trade the pick at 17 for pick 20 and a future, and then at pick 20 to take another one of their top targets at 20, and then to finish that off with bringing back a mainstay of the Aurora LR with Symmetric as probably your goalie of the future. I don't know how you do a better draft than that. I'm sure other teams had really great drafts. I think Edmonton had a good draft and probably is arguably just as good. But like, just like how that all went down, that's just a great draft.
Yeah, for sure. It's yeah. Don't know the pick at 20. Not haven't really heard anything about that person that I recall. So I can't say anything there, but heard great stuff about Leaky Sink. Yeah, uh, and yeah, of course, Esperb and Schwartz are fantastic.
I think I
Symmetric, yeah,
think
Symmetric
I said
also.
this in the war room too, but I think I said this that Chicago probably got their top target at 2, which is a great way to lose the lottery. Um, like I think Fresh going at 2 was great for them. To back that up with Alaris at 6, like that's a great draft as well. Like Ace said. Um, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, no, no. Yeah, no. Fully agree. Fully agree. Um, yeah, I think with Chicago, they would have been just as likely to take Fresh at 1 as they were at 2. So I mean, maybe they take Juke. I don't know, but I would not even be remotely upset getting Fresh at 2. What else? What else? Um, I don't know the deal that you said. What 20 is what they got for Phantom Ends, which turned
A 20
into
overall and a future
in
first.
a future first even. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Um, oh, and that was from Buffalo. Okay, okay. Eh,
Do you want to talk about steals that I think are in the draft?
yeah, sure, sure. Why not?
You want to go first, or you want me to dive in a little bit?
Boy. Hmm. I haven't given steals a whole lot of thought. Right off the top, Rengoku at 21 feels pretty good. Um, I don't know enough of these first gens is my problem. Um, so I'm having a hard time knowing which ones are the really good ones.
I think Swag at 42 could be a steal.
Oh, possibly. He's slowed down substantially, but is still like a steady earner.
Yeah, I think it's when you look at it as more of a marathon. I think that person could still hit 1400
Oh yeah, yeah,
and still be a solid um, depth piece, right? Like, um, I think just even looking at the tail end of the first round, um, I think Valor's going to earn well. I think Nola got a player who's going to earn well there. I think Yosh at 19 could be really good for Tampa. Um, like any time you can get a player that had a peak earning player on their previous player, I think is anytime in the like, for Tampa to make the finals and then walk away with Yosh at 19. That's
yeah,
that's huge. Um, I think some of these second round players, like Blues fan at 31, feels
yeah. That's a good
later
point,
than
actually.
their history um, shows. Obviously, Canada just went at 33 because of being a GM. Um, yeah, I think there's so many people in that draft class that you could say like it's funny. We picked at 60 and we instantly got a DM from a GM when we picked at 60, and I don't know how often that happens in a draft.
Hmm. Let's see. What about sorry. Um, any other steal thoughts or anybody taken too early? I mean, the great job, James. Appreciate it. I mean, my biggest problem with this in terms of like a player taken too early is going to be Waters. Um, I feel like Minnesota. It's not great. That feels like more like 15 or later to me. 5 feels too soon, especially when you look
Don't
at some of the other players in
know.
this draft.
Yeah, I don't know Waters well enough. I feel like I've talked to them once or twice, and it probably was SSL related. Um, so I really don't know their history here. Um, but I feel like Minnesota might have undersold that pick. Um, I think any of the teams in the top five would have paid that price that Edmonton paid, but I think they could have got a lot more um, out of that asset and still maybe ended up with Waters. Um, I just don't know, right? Like this, I don't know enough about the user. I don't know enough about what Minnesota's doing. I don't know. Um, so that just felt like an undersell. Um, I mean, I think some of the trades that I saw in the first round, like Chicago getting that trade for 6, felt like a great trade. I think or Winnipeg traded in for 10. That was a great move. Who else traded into this draft?
I'm actually not sure. I didn't actually look at the. I saw some of the trades watching the draft stream, but I do not really recall what all went down with the trades exactly. But it looks like we haven't seen them posted publicly, so I'm not exactly sure what went down with all those. I know that it
I
did that.
probably shouldn't have forfeited their pick.
Yeah. Uh, let's see. There's one other. What do we got here? Gams had a draft question. Oh, that's actually Gams being the first gen off the board. 3-2 Montreal. So congrats to Gams, or is it? I say Gams, but I think on the stream they said like G-Ham, or I don't know. I let me
What?
know
Or
how your
Hamlet?
username is pronounced, please, because I'm curious. Um, let's see, but he says his drafting season is upon us. What is the best slash weirdest question you have been asked while scouting? And what is the answer that stood out to you so much that you remember to this day?
Ace is gonna hate this because he knows I'm not a big scouter, um, and a lot of that has to do lately with just life and time commitments. But this is the reason why I pulled up my the 61 interested prospect. Um, I just remember the question, "Is water wet?" and just
Mm-hmm.
chuckling at someone's sense of humor that they would ask that. Um, I don't know. I just that one I just love that, and then I think the other one was um, where is it on this list? Oh yeah, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? And I just said my answer was in metric or imperial. Like it was just I don't know. It was just fun to have. Um, it was just fun to have like some random questions like that mixed among the serious ones. It felt like it kept it light. Um, I see Waters jumping in chat. That's positive. I think if Waters is saying that they weren't picked too early, that's exactly what you want to hear as a GM. You know, if you're Minnesota, that's yeah, that's great. That's what you want to hear.
Yep.
That your player is um, feeling they're justified at 5. That's great. Also, hi Waters. I don't know if we've talked, so hi.
I don't think that I've had any particularly interesting or weird scouting questions, unless you count the interested prospects questions, which I don't know, kinda, not really. Um, but I generally am like I don't know. I don't give very interesting answers for the weird questions either. Kind of just I don't know. I feel like all my scouting conversations are pretty normal and uninteresting. Um, so I don't know. I don't have a good. The only I guess interesting or weird interaction I had in terms of scouting was the very first GM I talked to when I was like a UDFA. When I first joined the league, I missed the J draft. It's not really a scouting question, but kind of because back then UDFA's were like fully free for all, so it was kind of like scouting, but kind of not. Um, but I think I said something. I don't exactly because this is 8.5 ish years ago, so I don't remember exactly what was said. But I somehow gave him the impression that I was planning on leaving. Um, so we had like this very strange interaction of like them kind of like saying something to the effect of, "Oh well, good luck," or and I was like, I don't understand what I said exactly, or I didn't take what I said the way they took it. So we had this weird, I don't know, weird thing of like they weren't really necessarily interested, but I didn't know what I was saying, and that it would turn them off. So that's the closest thing to like a weird interaction or weird question I've had that I can recall in any
If
kind of
you
scouting.
don't know how the league operates, it can be very
Yes.
daunting to just jump in. Um, because yeah, like when you're a first gen fresh user and all of a sudden you just join the site and people are messaging you out of nowhere that you've never interacted with, and they're wanting to know like, are you committed and are you doing things, and like all this kind of stuff. Like it's it can be almost jarring for a new user. I know in the SSL, I really um, our team has been fortunate to be quite good. So I have always come across in the last few drafts as like, I don't even know if you're going to be available because the drafts weren't that deep. I don't even know if you're going to be available when it comes to picking for me. I'm just summarizing this. Is there anything I can help you get to know the league better, or any questions you might have? And I really just kind of opened it up to like, I want to get to know you. I want to help you out. I want you to enjoy the league. And I'm sure that's probably more of a JGM process than it is an SHL GM. But um, yeah, it can be daunting. I fully I get what you're saying about the whole, didn't realize you pushed a GM away from signing you at the time.
Yeah. It was back then we had what do you call it? Player representatives. Um, like you didn't. Most people didn't engage with this, but there was the potential for like an agent essentially to like negotiate your contract on your behalf. Um, there's a little things were a little looser back then, um, and I didn't realize that wasn't like a typical thing. So that was like one of the first things I looked at. I was like, hey, do I need an agent? And the other weird part about that was my username uh, may have suggested to people that I was another user, kind of making a joke account, because my username was
That's hilarious.
similar to somebody else's, um, kind of weirdly. So yeah, that first
That's
having no
hilarious.
idea and being excited, getting into this thing and being like, this is amazing. I want to do stuff. And that first day, I was just like messaging people and being like, hey, what do I do? What do I? I want to do something, but I don't know what's happening. And not getting a lot of responses necessarily because I think either, I mean, the league was just so different back then, and also, again, I think at least one person thought I was this other user playing a joke on them. I think I don't know.
That's
That's my
hilarious.
that's what I suspect anyway. All right, what
I,
about
I remember finding out that, just one quick
yeah,
tidbit that
yeah.
I always laugh about before I joined. I found out like 6 months after joining that I knew someone in the SHL by digging through old history posts. And it turns out the person that I knew in the league was banned.
Oh, really?
And
That's
so it
funny.
was just like, it was funny because I met this person on like a Reddit Colorado Avalanche hockey card collecting subsection, and so it's just funny. Like I had only ever had really positive talks with this person, and then one day I asked him, I was like, "Oh, so you were in the SHL before?" And they just went like stone cold, like, "I don't want to talk about it. That was a long time ago." So it was just funny. That's the only person that I'd ever met prior to this.
S7's got a kind of a funny story. I don't know, and I won't really be capable of doing it justice. But after he joined the league, he found out that somebody he knew in real life had been in the league and was yeah, brought it up with him. It's like, oh yeah, I was in that. It's pretty funny. Actually,
It's
it's
hilarious.
a G Cool in the LA locker room.
Oh, sweet, sweet.
Yeah, because the Seven's got like a group of people that he's friends with in real life, and G Cool is one of them. But did not realize that G Cool had been
I
in the
can't wait to
league.
play disc golf with Smith. I can't wait to play disc golf with Smith and G Cool and that crew.
Oh yeah,
Fairlax. It'll be fun.
is that happening?
We want to. I haven't been able to make the trek even out to Smith, who's I think 5 or 6 hours from me. Um, so it would probably be something where, yeah, we try to plan it out, but it's not like it's going to happen soon. It'll be this whenever it works. It works, but
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, we're getting down to it here. You got any other draft thoughts? Anything else you want to hit on there? Because we're
I think
oh,
this draft. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I got a question from Kari. She wants to know if you would
Okay.
draft her if she was a worm.
Knowing what I know now, no.
Wow, that's two GMs,
And mostly because they didn't scout me. So
two members of management teams that have said no on this podcast. All right.
I think I'm in a lot of people's burn book, so I'm good.
All right. All right. Well, I mean, I think we can probably wrap it up. Been going for a good little bit over an hour here. You
Yeah,
got any?
no,
You got any? Oh,
it's
sorry.
been good.
Yeah, yeah. You got any final thoughts? Anything?
No, ask what were you? Well, I guess. Um, is there any? I know there was that season predictions one. I think. I don't know. It's hard to answer until we see what kind of free agents go where.
Hmm.
Um, it'll be interesting to see um, some teams that have lost players, how they replace them, if they replace them. Um, yeah, I think the East is still going to be the stronger of the two conferences. Um, but I don't know if they're necessarily better top end than the West for when it comes to like winning the championship. To kind of answer Valor's question, um, yeah, I don't know. There's so much of a. I always struggle with this when you're doing tactics. It's like, do these tactics changes, if we make them, does it help our chances of winning, or like because we have this placebo effect of okay, so we won the game, but was that like winning the game off of like a statistical 25% probability, or did we win it because that change made it to like an 80% probability? And you never know because in a no testing environment, like you don't know if your changes were, you know, like did you find the secret sauce or did you get lucky? And so yeah, I think um, I think you just make educated guesses and you just kind of go with it. But um, yeah, so I don't know. I could see I could see like 8 different teams winning next season, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like I truly wouldn't be surprised. I think there's at least 5 or 6 in the East. Um, I think there's at least 3 in the West, maybe even Calgary. They might take a big enough of a step up that they could do it too. Um, I don't know. I think the league's in a good spot when it comes to, people throw the word parity, but I think it's just in a good spot of you don't know, but at least you give yourself a better chance when you have the good team. So yeah, I think it's too early to predict anything serious, but until we see where the free agents fall. But
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know. I'm a little curious to see what SFB looks like next season because I'm not really sure exactly what they're going to look like. Um, but it's hard to imagine them not still being competitive. Texas, I don't think really changes much at all. We're not going to be changing a whole lot either. Slipping a little bit on regression, but that's life. And yeah, like you said with the East, it's the Luke and I talked about it. I think a couple weeks back, or during at the start of playoffs. It feels like um, I wouldn't feel safe in any position in the East in the playoffs. Like really, I feel like virtually every matchup is pretty tough in the East. So yeah, we'll get a
I think
little
we've seen
deeper.
that like.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say. I think you see that with New England going from winning the cup to being knocked out in the first round,
Mhm.
with really not a ton of roster changes. Um, and I think it's happened to Philadelphia before too. I think it's happened to Baltimore, made the finals and then got knocked out first or second. I don't know. Like either way, there's. I think the volatility is there. I mean, I think Hamilton's going to drop back. Um, I just think that's a reality of the off season for them. You know, now there's a hiring post up, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, there's definitely some changes going on there, right? So I think they take a step back, and so I think that's a natural one on the East to see. You know, I think Montreal takes a step up, so maybe Montreal's not the bottom team in the East anymore. I hope for their sake they're not, but you know what I mean. Like I think, yeah, I good spot to be for the league to have all this, tough, um, these tough divisions.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see the West balance out a little bit more here in the next few seasons. Um,
Hmm.
but I think, and again, I guess last call for any kind of final thoughts from you. Or are we ready to head out?
No, I've appreciated being on. I've joked with you in the past about coming on here, but um, yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun to get to know you briefly. Obviously, I don't know a ton about you, and I've only been in Los Angeles for a season now. But it's been a refreshing season. Um, it's been nice to just get to know some people, and I already knew some of the people here, but um, to try to win with a different group of people and to um, try to maximize the last couple of seasons of effectiveness with my player. Um, and I hope we can maximize, the back half of your own player's career. I think what you've been able to do with your players is pretty exceptional, and um, hopefully we can keep making that happen. And really excited for the new season to start with our free agent signings. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how we mix that. Um, uh, Two fresh players with almost no chemistry with the team. I think it's going to be tough to find the right mix, and hopefully we can find it sooner rather than later. But yeah, should be an exciting season.
Yep, yep. Should be fun. Um, all right. I think we're gonna call it, and let everybody know Luke and I are off next week. It's file work week, so I'm not gonna do a podcast on the same day that I do file work. That's not fun. So we'll probably be back the week after, which will be the week following preseason. So we'll have some more probably solidified regular season prediction stuff we can talk about, and any final off season stuff, moves, whatever. Um, so we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for hanging out and chat. Appreciate it. I appreciate everybody stopping by.
Everyone.
And so long.